All right. Good morning. It's Monday, week 7. That means it's push day. Let's get started. Get shoes on. For those of you just joining or just for a general update, just a reminder what you're watching. This is a long form workout video where we're just going to talk about my workout plan, my diet plan, and then just general fitness topics. And we have the goal specifically. This is it's the morning. My brain's not working. We're trying to lose 40 pounds in 20 weeks. We're on a 20-week cut, right? So we started like mid-October. We're going to end in early March. The goal is to get from, we were at 210, and I say we, that's the royal we, me. I want to get down to 170. Of course, if you wanted to join me on this winter cut, you're more than welcome to join. In fact, I welcome it. If you're watching this and you've been playing around with the idea of starting to cut, why not now? Why not? I say just go for it. Comment and say, hey, I'm going to try it out. I'd be happy to talk more about it with you personally and see what we can do. But this is week 7 for me, so there's 14 weeks to go. Still a long time. Still a long way to go, folks, so plenty of time to hop on if you're feeling like it. Since this is push day, we're going to start with dumbbell bench press. We will then do incline bench press on the barbell. And then we will do close grip bench press to hit our triceps. And then we'll finish with some pause bench press on the barbell. Oh, start here. That was maybe a little too light to start with. Just as a reminder, what I like to do for a warm-up is I like to do like a higher rep warm-up at about 50% of my working weight. So if my working weight, what is my working weight? Maybe I should look that up first. 95. So yeah, I only did 35s there. I should be doing more like at least 45s. So yeah, I do 2 sets of like 50%. So for me, that would be like 45 or 50. That's just what it should be. And I'll try and do like higher rep scheme, 10, 12, maybe 15. And then I do a third rep at 75% of the working weight. So I'll bump that up to like 65 or 70. And then basically that's it for the warm up. And I do that on my whatever my first lift is. Usually it's the compound lift to try and work most of the muscles and get them warmed up. Should I do more of a warm up? It definitely wouldn't hurt, right? It definitely wouldn't hurt to do more of a warm up. But I have found, this was suggested by Michael Matthews in his Bigger, Leaner, Stronger book and on his blog and stuff. And I have found that it works for me. It is time efficient. So it seems to be, for me, the minimum amount of work that I need to do to get my blood flowing, to get my muscles kind of in a place where they're ready to lift heavy. So, like I said, would more warm up be better? I'm sure. But I try to keep my workouts like about an hour long, and so I just don't have time for a 20 or 30-minute warm up. Oh. All right. So I'll pump that weight up. We'll do like 70 or 75. Let's do 75 just to make sure we're nice and warm. So yeah, I forgot to get this in a good spot. Let's make sure we're in focus. So we got one more warm-up set, and then we'll start in on the heavy dumbbells. But yeah, just to recap again, 20-week cut. We started mid-October. We're on week 7. So if you wanted to pick up now, you'd have, 14 weeks still to cut, which even if you don't do a huge calorie deficit, you could still lose, 7 to 14 or 7 to 14 pounds. It's very doable, right? That'd be a half pound a week or a pound a week, 7 pounds, 14 pounds. Or if you wanted to go aggressive, like I'm doing, you could shoot for 2 pounds and you still have 28 pounds to go. I will caution, however, if it's your first cut, or really, it doesn't even matter if it's your first cut or not. It's hard. An extended period of time of being in a calorie deficit can be hard to maintain. It's week 7. I'll be honest. I woke up this morning and I was just thinking, man, I'm starting to get a little tired. I'm starting to feel hungry. Like if this was like an 8-week cut, I'd be like, great. There's only 2 more weeks. As it stands, we're a third of the way through. So, it's really time to just kind of buckle down and push through, because we've got 2/3 of the way to go still. But I'm also encouraged by the progress. I said we were shooting for 2 pounds a week, starting at 210, and we've hit that. So I say I started at 210. That was like my last weigh-in, and then the first week that I started, I averaged about 208. So that's kind of where I measure from. I wasn't really very consistently weighing myself every day leading up to the cut, but then when I started the cut, I started weighing myself every day at the same time, in the morning, first thing before consuming anything, after going to the bathroom. That's how you're going to be able to get the most reliable measurements. And so that first week was 208, and then this past week was about 196, a little over 196. So we are well on our way. We've lost about 12 pounds in 6 weeks, which is right on target. So that's encouraging. So we just got to keep on chugging through. All right, one more warm up here. All right. Well, let's get the big boys over there. talked about it before, but I really love those Dumbbell adjustable dumbbells. And there are other brands that have them. They just make it so great when you're doing a warm-up like me and you're switching between those weights quickly, or for drop sets where you need to adjust weights quickly. But they only go up to 80 pounds. So, as you can see, I don't have a ton of space here in this gym, in this home gym. So, for heavier weights, again, I opted for adjustable dumbbells. But the thing I don't like about the adjustable dumbbells that you get from like Walmart or Amazon, they have like, they always have this little part that sticks out at the end, right? It sticks out, and so you can't rest it on your thigh like I like to do. So these adjustable dumbbells, I don't know if you can see, it says DP, that's Dumbbell Pepin, I don't know how you say it, Canadian company. They make these little screws that screw into the end, and thus you get a flat end of the dumbbell, which is great. And they just use these regular, they just use the regular old dumbbell plates, not the Olympic size, but like that smaller hole. And I just got that on Facebook Marketplace. I don't think I paid like $1 a pound or like 75 cents a pound. All right, last week we did 2 sets of 9 and 1 set of 8 at this 95 pounds. So that's our goal, right? Let's try to at least match that or try to get 9 on each of them. We want to be progressively overloading because that is key to building muscle and or maintaining muscle. I've been lifting for a while. I don't have any delusions of building muscle on an extreme 1,000 calorie cut, but I would like to keep as much muscle as possible. All right. All right, I got 9. Great. Whoa, and I am fully warm, getting the sweat on, which is a good sign, especially because it is cold here this morning. Had some snow over the weekend. It is in the 20s this morning. Ugh. So if we can get warm enough to shed some layers, that's a good sign. I was talking about not having delusions of gaining muscle on this cut. If you're new to lifting, or it's been, maybe you lifted a lot in your younger years and it's been some years, it is possible to gain muscle while in a calorie deficit. Can be done. The research says that and shows that it can be done. The reason why I say it probably won't work out for me is just because I've been lifting pretty consistently for the past 4 years now, and off and on like before that, but haven't really taken a long break for the past 4 years. So, yeah, they call it newbie gains. And if you're new to lifting, take advantage of it, man. There's no better time to go at it and take advantage of the fact that you can lose fat and build muscle at the same time than when you're first starting. So that can be either like, maybe you're a teenager, maybe you're in college, or maybe you're older and it's just been, I don't know what the set amount of time is. It's been 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years since you've really worked out or especially done heavy resistance training. People will ask me a lot, I want to start, working out. I want to start lifting weights and I want to build muscle. Should I bulk or should I cut? If you're just getting into it, for me, the answer is always cut. Because the reason why you're probably wanting to start lifting is because you're not happy with the way that you look. And people will say, well, yeah, but it's because, I'm skinny fat. I don't have a ton of muscle. And that would be the reason why someone might say they want to bulk. But I would say, but if you haven't lifted consistently for a few years, or if you never have, you have a one-time opportunity to lose the fat and build muscle while in a calorie deficit. So like if you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, why wouldn't you do it? Why would you go in a calorie surplus to build muscle that you're not going to be able to see right away? The thing that's going to make the biggest difference for you is getting out of that 25% body fat or 30% body fat to try and get down to like 15%. Do that for like a few months. Do that for half a year. Do that for a year. And then once you get down to 15% or 10% body fat, then start thinking about bulking. But you have to get rid of that layer of fat to even know what you're working with. Visibly, that is. Man, and coming off of Thanksgiving week, what a thing to be grateful for, to be able to just like lift heavy things. Something about bench press for me is like super cathartic. It just feels so good to just like be pushing something super heavy away from my body. And there are mental health benefits to weightlifting, right? Your doctor will always say, how are you eating? Are you exercising? It's because your mental and your physical fitness and well-being are definitely interconnected. And just anecdotally, I will say, lifting weights just definitely feels like it's, I can feel it releasing endorphins. I can feel myself melting a little bit of the stress and anxiety of life away while I push that heavy weight away. So it's another reason to get started. If you haven't been lifting, if you haven't been exercising, don't overdo it. Ease into it. But start just to get a little bit of exercise in your day. It can help clear brain fog. It can help alleviate anxiety, depression. And I'm not saying it's not the same as going to see and talk to like a therapist or medication or anything like that. But even those people will tell you it's certainly not going to hurt to work out. And if anything, it will help. It can help. Another thing that helps, sleep. Make sure you're getting sleep. And I get it. I know that it's hard because you've got to wake up early if you're going to, I mean, maybe you have to wake up early to go to the gym before your family wakes up. Kids don't go to bed until, whatever, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and you only have a few hours at night to yourself. So what do? You stay up till 1 o'clock and try and get up at 4 or 5. 3, 4 hours of sleep is not enough, man. It's not enough. And people will argue with me. I know if this channel was bigger, I know I'd have people in the comments saying, I don't need that much sleep. I am built different. I only need X amount of sleep. And certainly there's a range, right? And there are outliers. But on average, we need that 8 hours. So maybe that's 7 or 6 for some of us. Maybe it's 9, 10 for others. Personally, right now, I'm getting at least 8, closer to 9 hours. I'm in bed. I am in my bed and asleep, usually, as long as our daily routine is the same, by 10. Right? And I sacrifice a little bit of the evening hours, knowing that my kids are in bed by 7:30 or 8. So that only gives me like an hour or 2 at night to myself, and to also, interact with my wife without kids. So it's a sacrifice to go to bed, before midnight. I'm lucky enough to have a home gym, so that allows me to wake up a little bit later than what I would if I had to go early and work out. So I can get away with waking up at 6 if I have some things I need to do in the morning, 7 if I just want to wake up, help with the morning routine, and then go work out. So that's why I say I'm getting 8 to 9 hours. If I'm waking up at 7, if I'm going to bed at 10, I'm able to get that 9 hours in. And sleep is important for your mental health and your physical health, right? So if you're lifting heavy weights, you're not going to build muscle or maintain muscle if you're not getting adequate recovery. And sleep is the number one place that you're getting that recovery. All right, last one. We did 8 last week. Can we get 9 today? I think we can. Those first 2 felt good, and I just talked a long time. So, all right. Oh, come on. There it is. 9. Almost lost it there, but that was just like an imbalance. I feel myself losing balance. I knew I had the reps in reserve to go. I mean, I say reps in reserve, but I mean, really, that was pretty close to failure. All right. Next up is our good friend, incline bench. So, mark this off. 9, yes, I got 9. And we're doing 205 on this incline bench. Just to reiterate, the training split that I follow is like a push-pull legs. Maybe some of you might call it a modified push-pull legs. We do push on Mondays, pull on Tuesdays, legs on Thursdays. Wednesdays are an upper body and core, and so that can be, more pushing, more pulling, whatever. And then Fridays are another upper body and core, and that can either be pushing or pulling or other accessory work. And to be honest, Fridays are kind of just like optional, because at this point in this 6 weeks that I've been going, I think I've not done the Friday weightlifting more often than I have. And that's either because it's been nice out and I go golfing, or I have like a doctor appointment, or, something else in life that is, comes up and things are busy. So all that to say, on paper, my training split is 5 days a week, but in reality, you can make, this would work with 3 or 4 days as well. And this is all just designed to optimize the time that I have, as a husband, as a dad, as a full-time employee, and just, we don't have all the time in the world. And so trying to just get little efficiencies where you can pays big dividends. So that feels low. Where did I put that? Put that at the right one. Let me think about this for a sec. We're in the correct hole. Still feels low. I think I know what it is. I think I'm up one. I was at 45 degrees instead of 30. That will do it. Okay. That feels better. All right. Oh, I could tell I was not going to be able to get 5 on that. So that's okay. We got 1 extra on our main lift. On last week I did 5-4-5 on this incline bench. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great if I could get 5 on a couple of these, but we're also going to listen to our body and be safe, because this is probably one of the more precarious lifts that I have. In fact, I'm going to move this stool out of the way in case I do need to ditch it. So if I do need to ditch, that weight's just going to try and throw it forward. When I'm in the cage, I've got the bars. On incline like this, I don't worry about it too much because I'm on an incline and I know that it can just roll down. Would I recommend this for a beginner? No, I'd say do your inclines inside the cage if you can, or have a spotter. But yeah, let's see, 50 seconds left to go. See if we can get, I think honestly with the way that felt, I think that success would be getting 4 for each of these 3 sets. Let's see. Yeah, so we've talked about the overall plan. We're in a 20-week cut. Talked about push pull legs. Oh, I was saying that it's kind of like a modified push pull legs. You know, some people will say, well, you do push pull legs and then you start over at push pull leg. You do, it's like a 6 day a week thing. And the way I look at it is it's more about the movement. So my Mondays right now, my push can look very similar to like a bro split chest because it's mostly barbell, like bench press type stuff. That just happens to be what this iteration is. My push days will include anything that's a push. That can be shoulder press, that can be tricep push down, it can be dips. This particular routine that I'm doing happens to be bench press heavy, but honestly, it's more about the convenience of the lifts. So once I get off those dumbbells, I'm bam, 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 here 3 in a row of like minimal equipment changing. That's really what it comes down to. But there's nothing that's saying like, oh, I have to be focused on chest. It's just we're focused on push movements. Same thing on pull day. Deadlift is going to be the main thing, but deadlift is working your legs, right? It's also working your back, and it's a pull movement. But then it doesn't really matter like what the lift is as long as it's a pulling motion. So, all right. Yeah, that one felt close. It felt like maybe 5 could happen, but I just didn't want to push it. Maybe we'll give an extra minute of rest on this last one, see if we can get 5. Since last week we did 5, 4, 5. 4, 4, 4 would be fine, but 4, 4, 5 would be better. So we talked about the 20-week cut and the workout routine, and I may change it up probably like at maybe like 10 weeks since that'll be halfway through, and that would probably put me that'll probably put me at the end of December, I think. So what better time to switch out the workout plan than January? But it'll be pretty similar. The other half, and I say half like because it is half resistance training, half nutrition, half rest, 3 halves. You know what I mean. But the nutrition is just as important. And so my plan for nutrition, if you've been following the channel for a little bit, you know that I am trying to hit a 1,000 calorie deficit, which should put me at losing 2 pounds per week. And we've done that so far in the first 6 weeks. And what that looks like for me personally, my TDEE, my total daily energy expenditure, is about 2,900 calories. So I'm shooting for 1,900 calories on average for a week. And that's what I do. I think about the average of the week. I don't try and hit 1,900 calories every day because it's really hard to do. It just seems, knowing myself and the amount of self-discipline I have, it's setting me up for failure because I'll hit 1,900 days or I'll hit 1,900 calories 6 out of 7 days, and then I'll have a big calorie day, and then all of a sudden my 1,000 calorie deficit is only 800 for the week. So the way that I do it is I look at the average, which gives me some buffer, some leeway from day to day. So in my app, I kind of shoot for 1,600 calories, knowing that if I hit 1,600 calories, even just like 2 or 3 days, that gives me room to have a couple of days that are at like 2,000, 2,500 even, right? because I'm shooting for 1900 max. So I honestly, I try to be a little bit more conservative, and I try to shoot for 1800, knowing that it'll probably be closer to 1900. This last week is a perfect example. It was Thanksgiving. I hit 1600 calories 3 days in a row. Had like 2600 calories on Thanksgiving. Had 2200 calories the next day, and then 1700 calories, and then 1600 calories, and the average ended up being 1850 for the week. So even with, like, again, shooting for an average of 1800 and having buffer days and higher days, my average was still just over 1800. But by doing that, that allowed me to hit my real goal of 1900 calories. 1800 to 1900 calories is kind of where I want to live. I don't really want to I don't want to go over 1900 calories. I want to be a little bit conservative. Yeah, let's hit this weight. Easy money. 5 on the last one, just like we said. Took a little bit longer rest. That helped. All right. Now we've got close grip. So hopefully that calorie stuff made sense. The other part of nutrition that factors into it is your macronutrients. And that just is talking about your protein, your carbs, and your fat. And to make it super simple, honestly, I just focus on protein. I kind of let fat and carbs fall where they may. If I were a professional bodybuilder, I probably would have a more rigid and specific plan. I'm just an average guy trying to get in a mildly, moderately jacked physique, right? I want to look more fit and muscular than the average person. I kind of want to, I'm looking for that, like, superhero physique where, not like Chris Hemsworth or Thor, but like more like, I don't know, any of the other ones who are not just like outrageously big. We're looking for clearly defined abs. We're looking for visible muscles in the arms. We're looking for like striations in our shoulders and our pecs when we flex. Visible quad muscles, vascularity, some veins that show up. That's what I'm looking for, and I don't want to look anemic and thin while I'm at that body fat percentage. I want to look decently filled out. So, yeah, so that's why I think I can get away with not. Sorry, I'm almost put the wrong weight on. We're doing 185, not 205. Anyway, all that was to say that to get to that kind of level, you can focus on protein and calories. So for protein, there is a wide range of protein recommendations. People will recommend protein, a certain amount of grams of protein for your body weight or your lean body mass weight. So, like generally, I think like 1.5, even like a minimum of 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight is kind of like what people will say, all the way up to like 2.5. So for me, I go on lean body mass knowing that I'm about 160 pounds of lean body mass, and I go for like 1.2 or something like that, which puts me at about 180 grams of protein. And I try to shoot for that. I don't always get it, again, because I'm okay with a little bit of muscle loss. I just know that's going to be part of it with an aggressive cut. And again, like I said, I'm not bodybuilding. I just want to look good, and feel good, at my body weight, and I want to be able to feel strong. So yeah, I shoot for 180, but I don't kill myself and suck all the joy of life and food trying to get there. I will still eat carbs and fat, but I will try, especially on days when I'm feeling more motivated, I will try to hit or exceed that 180 grams of protein. And it's one of those things where it's more difficult when you're on a cut because you have less calories to eat. But it's also more important because you're in a deficit. And so your body is wanting to metabolize things. It's wanting to eat fat. It's wanting to eat muscle. And the way that you can tell your body not to eat muscle is to lift heavy weights, which tells your body that I need this muscle to meet the stimulus, the outside stimulus. And then you need to feed it the protein to allow it to continue to repair itself. At least that's how I understand the science. What am I doing? Narrow bench press. All right. Oh. And I just was shooting for 9 because I saw 8 on the first set last week. 888 last week, so doing good. If we can hit 8 or 9 on these ones, that'll be good. You may be wondering about the rep schemes because they've changed on the dumbbells. I was shooting for like 9 on the incline bench. I was doing 4 to 5. I'm back at 8 to 9 here. On core compound lifts, I shoot for powerlifting ranges. So that's 4 to 6 reps. The reason I do that is because, number one, it feels good to lift heavy things. It's a little bit more time efficient to do less reps. And it definitely improves strength. And what better way to be able to progressively overload than by building strength? Research studies show rep ranges 4 to 6, 8 to 10, 12 to 16 or whatever. So there's not a huge difference like in hypertrophy or like in muscle growth, right? As long as you are progressively overloading, meaning your volume is going slightly up over time, either through increased weight or increased reps, your muscles will grow. There are some studies, I believe, if I recall correctly, that really kind of say that 8 to 10 or 12 or whatever is really, you can see some increased gains but over the other ones. So for me, that's the rep range that I stick with for non-core compound lifts. So for like this tricep, narrow bench press, anything that's like a curl or a shoulder thing, or pulling like lat pull downs and rows and stuff. But for a bench press, so for me the incline is like, that's what I'm considering the core one here, because the dumbbell work, the reason I don't love the 4 to 6 range and going super heavy is because it's just less stable, right? It takes like more control to do that. And so I go a little bit lighter and do a few more reps just so I can feel a little bit more control over those. if I had a spotter or if I was at a different gym and I didn't have these adjustable weights that are a little bit more fragile, like I can't drop these. And you don't want to drop your weights no matter what, but like it feels different kind of just like letting 120 pounds of a solidly made dumbbell fall versus 120 pounds of an adjustable dumbbell. So that's my philosophy on rep schemes. I try to maximize efficiency by doing lower reps for the compound weights and then shoot for 8 to 10 to 12 on the other, basically everything else. All right, this is set 2. And on narrow bench press, I just like to feel like my arms are right at my sides. My thumbs are not quite touching the grippy part of the middle. Hands just on the inside of the outer grippy part. And you should feel it in your triceps. Come on, one more. All right. Maybe I was a little narrow there. The risk of going too narrow is you lose stability. The risk of going too wide is that you're engaging your pecs and your other muscles more than your triceps. So 8 is okay there, as long as we can get, well, we'd love to get 8 on the last one as well. And I already posted a video talking about the basically how nutrition ended up last week, but we'll just real quick hit that as well. Okay, so actually a better place to look would be to go here because we can see the average. So you can see 1855 was the average, just under 16, just over 1600, just under 1600. And then Thanksgiving, 26, 2250, 1700, 1600. So that comes out to about 1855. The week before, for reference, was just a normal week. And you can see, I did, Saturday was 2100. But Sunday was down to 1600, 1700, a little higher calorie there. So I shoot for that 1600 calories, knowing that Sundays are going to be a little higher. Wednesday, I must have been super busy at work. Looks like I hardly ate anything. But that was able to put me at an average of just under 1800. So it would have been totally fine if I got 16 or 1700 on Wednesday. So, yeah. Today is a normal day, so we're going to try and stick to our normal. We had the coffee from this morning. If you haven't heard me talk about coffee, you haven't been watching very much, because I love this coffee with almond milk and protein powder. And what's not listed is creatine. That's what I've got in the Santa mug this morning. I love adding the almond milk to cool down the freshly brewed coffee. And I'll stop this recording. The protein powder, just because it's easy little, protein. How much is it? It's like not even that much. 8 grams of protein. And that's only for like 10 grams of physical protein powder. But it's just, an easy thing to do. I'm not typically like a pour milk. I like to drink my coffee black normally, but I wanted to get a little bit of protein. I wanted to be also to consolidate, again, maximize efficiencies. It's hard to build habits. So one way that I wanted to be able to maximize a habit, so I already had the morning coffee habit. So I started adding creatine to it. And one thing that helped the creatine, and then I started adding protein because I wanted to add protein, but the coffee was too hot at first. So that's why I started adding the almond milk. That's something that I haven't talked a ton about, and maybe we can talk more about that in the future, is habits. And especially when it comes to trying to lose weight over a long period of time, it's not, unfortunately, you can't just work super hard for a week and then lose 20 pounds. It's just not how it works. You have to, and kind of goes against my tendencies. I like to go big and fast on like a project. But the way that fitness and health works out is that it takes small, consistent steps over a long period of time. There's just no other way to do it. Even with like weight loss drugs, even with GLP-1, you don't lose 100 pounds in a month. You lose 100 pounds over a year, or you lose 20 pounds over a few months, right? You're still only losing a half pound, 2 pounds a week, because that's the safe amount of weight to lose. Anything more aggressive than 2 pounds is considered unsafe. So even with the assistance of pharmaceuticals, your body isn't meant to make these huge, rapid transformations in a small amount of time. It takes months. So, last set of this, and we're shooting for 8 because 8 was hard on this last one. I'll go a little bit wider this time. One more. Oh, all right. We got it. Just barely. Ooh, feeling that. Okay. 8, and then we've got 205 on our last lift, which is pause bench press. So what we'll do is we'll grip it like a normal bench press. We'll come down to the chest and wait for 2 seconds. 1001, 1002. And then we'll go back up and we'll come back down to 1001, to 1002, or to 1000, 3 1000. And then we'll go back up, 3 1000, 4 1000. That's how I do it. I just change instead of 1000, I just say the number of the reps so I don't lose track. 1001, 1002, 2 1000, 3 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. And it doesn't matter that I'm doing the 5 1000. Anyway, at least that's how I think I do it. I can never really remember when I'm talking on camera if that's the way I do it or not, but that's the way I think I do it. At least that's the way I plan on doing it. One thing I was talking about in the video prior to this was the Christmas holidays at the end of December, and what I'm going to do, or how I'm going to try and plan to maintain my calorie deficit. And it's going to be challenging because my family does 3 Christmases, and that's just the nature of, our family. I won't go into the details, but we do one Christmas the Saturday before Christmas. We do a Christmas Eve Christmas. We do a Christmas Day Christmas. And each of them comes with a meal. So the way I was looking at it, I can still probably get away with the, 1 or 2 higher calorie meals per day. So even though it's 3 meals, since the first meal happens on a Saturday, the week prior, pardon me, I'll just consider that part of that week. So that Saturday, it's the 20th, I think. I'll just make that my high, make sure I have a lower calorie normal rest of the week. And that will allow me to have, and I'll maybe try to be a little bit more conservative, but like somewhere between 2,000 and I don't want to go much above 2,600 calories on that Saturday. And that should allow me to still average that, 1,800 calories. And then that Christmas week, I'll just have to treat it like 2 high calorie days. So it's like the middle of the week. It's like Wednesday, Thursday or something. I can't remember. But Christmas Eve is obviously an evening meal. Christmas Day is a lunch meal. So I will try Christmas Eve. I think I can get away with going a little bit lighter. Traditionally, that is not as big of a meal. It's still like a big family meal and stuff like that. But I think I can, if I stick to one plate, I think I can realistically keep that day to like 2,000 calories or low 2000s. And then Christmas Day, I think, again, if I look at what we did on Thanksgiving, I think 2,600, 2,700 should be doable, no problem. And that's what I did unintentionally this Thanksgiving week. I had 2,600 calories on Thanksgiving. And then the second day, I was 2,200 calories anyway, not because it was a holiday, just because I was feeling loosey-goosey. So I think the thing that I will have to do, though, is I will have to lock it down on Boxing Day, 26th, right? The 26th, I won't be able to maintain 3 high calorie days. I think would push my average up too high. I would have to drop, one of my other days down below 1,600, which is not, a guaranteed thing for me to do. But so that's the plan. Treat the 20th as the week prior. Treat that as the high calorie day. And then for Christmas week, just try to have a moderate Christmas Eve with a normal Christmas Day, and then keep the rest of the surrounding days low. All right, so we're doing pause bench press. We should have 205 on each side. Get our grip. And there we go. Oh, yeah, I wanted to get 5, but that 4 felt real heavy. So, yeah, I mean, last week we got 443, so we can just get 444. That'll be good. We talked about Christmas break. Oh yeah, and then of course there's New Year's Eve, which again isn't necessarily a big deal for us. We have small kids, so we don't really go out, but it's the week after. So again, we do like to watch a movie and have some snacks and stuff like that. So I'll just again plan on that day being a little higher than normal. If I can come out with these last 3 weeks of December, if I can come out with those ones averaging 1,900 calories or less, great. I anticipate that my moving average for weight will be a little bit higher because, again, we'll have those higher calorie, higher sodium days. So I imagine water weight will go up. I imagine we won't lose quite as much as fat, but that's fine. We'll get those out of the way. And then we've got January and February to lock it down. So And maybe I'll surprise myself. Maybe I'll be feeling super motivated, partly because of this YouTube channel and all 2 of you that watch. By the way, if you are watching, consider subscribing. I don't want to be like, smash that like button, but it helps. Yeah, maybe I'll surprise myself and we'll do great. Maybe we'll hit that average of 1,800 and we'll keep it going with the 2 pounds exactly per week. That would be great. All right, let's see if we can get 8 of these. No, 4 of these again. Again, I guess I could go lighter weight and go higher reps on this. I don't know. I am using it as a way to build strength, so I don't know. The 4 reps feels good for now. All right. Yeah. 4. And what I came away with there was 1,000, 2 1,000, 2 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 2 1,000, 4 1,000, 2 1,000. And I think that's it. I think that I've struggled to figure out what it is until getting under there. That's the counting scheme that works for me. Find the counting scheme that works for you, but that's what works for me. Because I know the first number is my rep, and then the second number is just always, 2 1,000. We'll do a little, I'm not a great bodybuilder posing professional or anything like that, but we'll give a little physique update at the end here, so you can see where we're at compared to last week and the weeks prior. I'm starting to feel, one of the things I've noticed of having lost 12 pounds, I'm starting to notice it, right? Like the first few weeks, you don't really notice it. Like maybe you feel slightly different, but like I'm noticing it in my pants. And one of the reasons why I wanted to start the cut was because my jeans were starting to get tight, right? So I'm starting to notice my jeans fit much better, in fact, with a little bit to spare. So 12 pounds, I'm noticing that. And I'm also noticing it when I lay down, just feeling like there's less bloat and less fat on my stomach. And I think you're starting to see the abs a little bit more. There's still, as you'll see, there's still plenty to grab. There's still plenty of fat there. We're still probably close to 20% body fat, but that will change. I just want to mark the progress though, and acknowledge it as a positive change, knowing that there's more positive change to come. I'm not really noticing differences in arm. It's maybe body dysmorphia or just like a psychological thing. I'm feeling like my arms are smaller already, and that's something I remember last time that I cut down to 170 was, even though I was very lean, I was starting to feel small, SMOL, small. And that, I think that's pretty common in bodybuilders. It's common for people who lift a lot to get down to lower body weight and feel like, man, I was a lot bigger when I was at 20% body fat, because you were. You have, there's a layer of fat gone, and you've probably lost a little bit of muscle mass cutting down to that weight. So, but that is something that I am going to try and adjust my attitude this time. I want to be thankful for the fat loss along the way and not be too eager. I think last time I was too eager to try and bulk up. This time around, I want to try and maintain it for a little bit longer. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Last set. Oh, doggy. 4. That one I changed my counting scheme again. I went 1001, 1002, 1002, 1002, 1003, 1002. So take that for what it's worth. There's a million different ways to count, as long as you're counting a full 2 seconds and not losing track of your rep number. That does it for the workout. How about a quick physique update? Let's see if I can get this shirt off. All right. So, like I said, I think the abs, I've got some lighting directly above me, so the abs are definitely more visible than they were. This is that layer of fat for me that's the hardest to get rid of, is this. Everyone's different, right? So you'll lose fat quicker in other areas, slower in other areas. For me, I hang on to it in this like lower stomach, torso, and the love handles, just genetically speaking. But yeah, that's where I am. So yeah, we'll check in again next week. If you want to see like posing after like a pump every week, like let me know in the comments. I don't know how important that is to you. I like to do it at least once a week because you can start to see progress from week to week. But maybe y'all care about seeing it more than that. I don't know. Either way, see you tomorrow for push or pull day.